you know, owning studios and running some of the biggest studios in the world in my life, one thing I was just so sad about for many years is, oh my God, Molly, I only have 3 days, and oh God, we're down to 1 day and I'm on a deadline. And whether it was the biggest superstar in the world, like a Tony Braxton or Whitney Houston, or someone new, they always had this pressure of, I have to hurry up and get it done. And when you're under pressure and you're doing art, it is so not good. It's like hurrying up and baking a cake. It is not going to be as fluffy and light. Hello, I'm Molly Wilson, and I'm delighted to have this conversation with you today. My background is in the church, and so my grandparents, my aunts, uncles, my father, everybody did music. Deep rooted in gospel, but I'm from Chicago, so the Chicago blues is a big part of our life. We would have juke joints every weekend outside and barbecues, and everybody had guitars. And much when you see this, I saw the Sinners film, and I'm like, oh, that's how I grew up. Everybody just doing the music and enjoying life. So back in the day when kids didn't have headphones and everybody was on their own page musically, we had to listen to what our parents played, right? And so my father was big on Stevie Wonder and the Commodores and the Isley Brothers and all the soul, you know, the Memphis soul, the different, you know, soul music. And my mother listened to Barbra Streisand and Karen Carpenter and the Beach Boys and the Beatles, and in between them they listened to Bob Marley. So the mixture of music that I listen to is such a wide range. And I come from mixed race, so also I have that, you know, interesting mix of, you know, I can listen to a Carly Simon record, but I can also listen to an Aretha Franklin record and really love it. And I think, you know, I will say the first artist that struck me and I got a butterfly and I thought I was sick as a little girl was Diana Ross's Mahogany. My mother was playing it in the car, and I said, Mom, my stomach hurts and my hair's, something's wrong. And she said, you just love it. It's just called Butterflies. And so Diana Ross gave me Butterflies with Mahogany, and it really made me want to sing. But from the time I was a little child, we had a music room, kind of like a studio, and my dad was really, he was really great about giving us instruments and having us write songs. My first song I wrote when I was 4. I have it. I'll play it for you one day. I loved the drums as a kid, but they wouldn't let a girl play the drums in church. It was just not a thing. And so I did that for a bit just on my own. I picked up the guitar for a while. That was the first instrument that my dad put in my hands. But I'm really a vocalist. I really learned at a young age, and then years and years of training. I mean, I had some amazing Karen Brunson at Northwestern, and there's too many to name, people that took me in and really helped hone my skills. Carl Johansson when I was younger. And so, you know, I just play my voice. That's my instrument.
I'm coming home for the home team. I'm coming back to bring the phone. I'm coming home for the get down.
It's interesting. I was very, very blessed. My first mentor out of high school was Alan Moore, and he was a big music man in the jingle production world. And that's where all the ad agency and all, how did she get all these brand things and connect artists together? But Alan Moore was, I mean, he conducted London Symphony Orchestra. He created songs for Amy Grant and Sandy Patty, and he was a big Nashville person. So as a young person, I interned with Alan Moore, and he would take me to Nashville every weekend to write with the likes of Tony Colton and Archie Jordan, and I got to write with Joe Cocker. And so for me, I didn't know how big of a deal it was at the time, but my skills were really honed by people who, I mean, Archie Jordan wrote What a Difference You Made in My Life for Ronnie Milsap. And Tony Colton had written for Celine Dion, everybody from Celine Dion to Boys to Men. And so my process, I think, subconsciously goes back to that time of don't give up on the lyric and really tell a story that you want to hear. But when Eric and I go in, I have to hear a melody in, whether it's the guitar that we're starting with or whatever the instrument is. I hear a melody, and a lot of times he'll say, oh, you had a couple words in here. I think this, he'll help me with the whole conceptualization of the song, and then we'll just come together. And I love our writing because I think having his male perspective and then having my perspective is, it's beautiful. And we're spiritual, so we're believers. So there's a lot of love. I think the world needs it, love and unity. And, you know, I try not to be so revolutionary and Angela Davis and Nina Simone when it comes to the deep, you know, content. But there are a few songs that are super, like, they'll touch you to the core to say, this is bigger than us. And, you know, I really do believe music should reflect the times. And that's what Nina Simone said, like, you should be like Bob Marley. He talked about what was happening. Marvin Gaye said, what's going on? So we just really pray before every session and just say, okay, God, give us the songs that are already written in heaven, and we'll see what comes out. And it's been working. I guess I would say I'm more creative in a space where when I'm sitting down to make music, I just kind of try to channel, you know, what kind of energy, what is it speaking to me? What is it saying? And it's pretty amazing. One of my mentors is Charlie Feldman, and he ran BMI for a very long time. He was an executive there, and one of my, you know, biggest supporters still to this day. And he's like, do you know it's not easy to make the melodies and just come up with this stuff? And I just thought, okay, well then, obviously God's given me a gift, because there's something special about me being able to connect with musicians that I love and us all coming up with something amazing. And I think that's the important part. Like, it's not just me, and I don't have to have the total pressure of let's make this song and we're going in. And, you know, owning studios and running some of the biggest studios in the world in my life, one thing I was just so sad about for many years is, oh my God, Molly, I only have 3 days, and oh God, we're down to 1 day and I'm on a deadline. And whether it was the biggest superstar in the world, like a Tony Braxton or Whitney Houston, or someone new, they always had this pressure of, I have to hurry up and get it done. And I think when you're under pressure and you're doing art, it is so not good. It's like hurrying up and baking a cake. It is not going to be as fluffy and light. And I think for me, I'm very grateful that I got to see for many years, you know, musicians like Lenny Kravitz and like Whitney Houston and Elton John and some of the biggest stars in the world, and be the fly on the wall. So maybe subconsciously my spirit just is really like now running free with the music.
I'm not sorry, I'm in love. I'm not.
Working with you guys has been, I'd say working with Downtown is a relief. You know, I'm very fortunate to know people in the company from the past, my past business, and I know their character, and I know their skill set. And so there's so many companies like Song Trust and Downtown out here that are trying to poach and pick at you. And it's like if you're with BMI or ASCAP, there's always one saying you get paid more than the other. And so for me, I think in life, sometimes on paper, things might look a certain way, and some people go with how that paper looks. But my success has come from feeling the person and using my animal instinct, and I've been in business a very long time. And so just the energy and the people and the care for music and rights, it's not just about money, I feel, for you guys. And so, yeah, I enjoy working with Downtown, and looking forward to doing more with downtown. I've done a lot with Song Trust, and I was very fortunate to have my Grammy nomination with Usher and Chris Brown and Rick Ross, and also my team did 120 songs with Missy Elliott. She hadn't come out with music for a very long time, and we had our first 3 singles, and just having an artist at that, being a partner on that project where you have to make the signature, you have to deal with the sync, it's a lot of pressure. And for me, I think my reputation in the music industry has always been just give them more. I'll just take credit on that. Or I've never been about the money, but to know that there's a company who really understands how to collect, and the people are real people, not bots that are working hard to make sure that there's not a dime missing from anything. And that they're getting back to people when Eric sends over, hey, so-and-so wants to sync this. It's just, it's a relief. All this, how to collect it and all that, it's so hard for artists. You don't want to think about it, There are times when I'm writing where, weirdly, before I finished any of these songs, and it was a 3-year journey, I got a call from Michelle, and she's like, I'm doing this. Her and Timberland have a charity, and they're like, it's a Josephine Baker thing, would you like to perform? And so I jumped out and started performing before I maybe had 5 songs done. But when I'm creating, sometimes I envision the crowds that I've performed for, and it helps me to just give them the story, and it pulls it out of me. And then other times it's, I don't know, when I first started writing again 3 years ago and went on this journey, I had the imposter syndrome maybe a little, because I'd written years before and I hadn't done it. And when I found that it literally was like getting back on a bike, I had so much pain and things that I'd seen in the business and gone through in life that it just kind of flowed out of me. So part of it is definitely very much my life story and how I move, and others may be trying to kind of heal or touch something that I'd seen along the way. Every day I look for how there's a ripple, you drop one stone, you don't understand, the water just goes, and there's a ripple in everything that we do, and I can see the ripples from the past connecting with the future with the music, and it's really fun and exciting.